I get a lot of beautiful email, and they come from all over the world, which I'm very grateful for. And this question keeps popping up, and I'll answer it again. I don't mind. I don't mind at all. What is my favorite camera? Well, I have different cameras, and they do different things. But my all-time favorite camera is the one that I'm using right now to make this video. And you might say to yourself, why is that? Well, a lot of reasons. First of all, the Canon camera is one that you can trust, especially the D series. Now, the D series cameras are very old. They're very ancient. They're more modern cameras. But it's like anything else. If you know what you're doing, even the older cameras like the D5 or the D7, or rather the 7D, you can do a lot of things with these. This is the 5D, I'm sorry, this is the 5D, and this is the 7D. Now what's the difference? Well, for one thing, the 5D will take only Canon EF lens. Now that's for sure that it's very, the EF lenses are everywhere. They are everywhere. So yeah, that camera would work really well. Plus it's so tough you could use it as a hammer. The 5D was used for many years as the standard for professional journalism. Then came the 7D. The 7D is equally as tough, and the 7D carries a lens. I'll show you. On the 7D, you're able to use different lens, just like the 5D. But on the 7D, you're able to use the Canon EF lens and the Canon EFS lens. Now, Canon have since gone on to bigger and better things, but that is a good news for you if you don't have a lot of money. If you don't have a lot of money, then these cameras are now way less expensive than they were when they first came out. Now, there are a lot of different things about these cameras that I want to point out to you. For one thing, the camera itself, they can do a lot of marvelous things. You'll see on my site I shoot a lot of pictures, and some pictures I could not have taken had it not been for the fast shutter speed and a camera that can handle, say, 5 to 10 frames per second. So I point the camera, which focuses automatically, by the way, or be like me, I trust manual focus, and then you anticipate what's going to happen. And the minute it starts to happen, you press the shutter and it keeps shooting for you, and you can get shots like a bird in flight. The other thing is, with these cameras, they have ISO. Now earlier, we talked a lot about ASA. That's with films. With digital cameras, you're talking about ISO. And the higher the number, the more sensitive the camera is to light. So, if you're shooting in the dark, you want to use a very high ISO. Now, I can get into details with all of this, but I won't. I just want to get into the fact that I use this camera for different reasons. So, the lenses, these are just remarkable lenses. For example, when you use a lens and you want to separate your subject from the background, then you want to use an aperture that'll do precisely that. An aperture of, say, f16, that's a pretty high number, right, will give you a lot of depth of field. And a lot of times your background is in focus, which is distracting. You also have the option of using a lower number, but a wider lens. The wider the lens is the greater, rather, is the less depth of field you have, so you can separate your subject from the background. if I'm shooting a butterfly, for example, I don't want the background in focus. I want you to focus on the butterfly. So far, we have talked about shutter speed. It's very important. We have talked about ISO. We have talked about aperture. And we have talked about frames per second. Now, the last item I want to touch on briefly is the fact that the 90D, which, by the way, you can get the 90D right there, and they're less expensive than they were when they were original, and you can trust Amazon. But anyway, the last item I want to talk about is its ability to shoot 4K videos. Now, this video is being shot in 4K, but I'm not going to render it in 4K. I will render this video in 1080 or 720. And the reason for that is because 4K would take you forever to download onto your phone or to your tablet. With 1080 or 720, it's much faster. And really, you don't need to see it in detail as you would with 4K. So, I hope I answered your question a little bit. And if you have something very specific, then you can always write to me, of course. I told you that before. Microdac at AOL.com. I am always happy to share the information that I have.